They start as little tribes, they invade this tribe, and they build a nation by killing the rulers of that tribe. Then they come to the United States, and they grab the land from the Indians and push them up into the dry reservations. And in Africa, we drive the Mau Mau up the mountaintop where they can't live or grow food. And so the British came in and the Dutch, and they picked the richest and the best land. They wonder why these people come down at night and cut the guy's head off and shove it up his ass. Because when you never get that point of view. Rarely do I see a Mau Mau on the radio on Sunday on television say, let me tell you what happened. Say, never. I've never seen a Nazi get up during the war and say, I'm going to tell you what is happening in Germany. Never. I never have a guy from Fidel Castro's Cuba on Sunday say, all right, Kennedy says this, let me tell you what really happened. We don't get, and we call this a democracy. Very few people know what a democracy is. A real democracy doesn't exist anywhere in the world, not even Sweden. A real democracy has no headlines in the newspapers about husband runs amok and stabs wife and 3 kids. That's in a psychiatric journal. It doesn't get in the newspaper. And let's assume that your brother was pushing drugs and they caught him. And it says Euripides Smead pushes drugs. That hurts you and your relatives and your mother and everybody else. The newspaper reporter is a vulgarian and ignoramus of the first order because he doesn't know what he does when he does those things. I don't care if my mother had a chain of heart, how they put that there. I wouldn't care because I don't depend on society that much. So here you have people that are wiped out. They won't even call you on the phone anymore. They'll pull their kids away from you even though you're all right. Right? Because they're sick. They are very sick. And people that run the newspapers, the editor, is another asshole. These people will be put in the mental institution in the future, which is not like the mental institution today. It's a separate city where they're educated and new. No more prisons. There'll be an end to police, no police cars, no prisons, no jails, no juvenile halls. What you have is an environment for children where they can learn how to handle problems. And parents will put an end to teaching dependency and show children how to solve problems so that children become high in self-sufficiency so they can manage their own affairs. But parents sometimes juggle situations to keep you dependent. I've told some of you this. The first time I was married, I told my wife that when my mother comes to visit, she's going to tell you to move the couch over there, and that picture ought not to hang there, it ought to be over there. And I said to her, you tell my mother to shut your fucking mouth unless I ask you, okay? Don't give us any advice. You live your lifestyle, you're welcome here, but don't go telling anybody what to do. She said, want you to say that to your mother? That means no, I'm sorry, but I'll arrange my home my way. And let her know once and for all, otherwise she comes in with a wheelbarrow of recommendations and gets on your back. Sometimes she'll come with suitcases as I come to spend the summer with her. And says, you have? Gee, too bad, it's full up. In other words, we always accept that shit and we live with it. And your wife says, you don't really mind. You say, you're choking to death. See? You're taking one aspirin after the other. See? And the point is, we have to learn how to say no. And I said, why not? Well, the idea is learn how to prevent people from getting on your back. And mental illness and all of the problems that people suffer from today, I'd say almost all of them, are due to looking for justice, which is no such thing. You know, I get a flat out there and you help me and you change the tire and all that. I say, thanks a lot. Then one day my windshield wiper's door, he comes down and he places it and say, thanks a lot. Then one day he calls me at 3 in the morning. Hey, I got a flat. I said, too fucking bad. And he's mad at me. And you shouldn't be mad at me. You should be mad at your judgment regarding me. You have bad judgment if that happens regarding me. Does that make sense? Nobody can hurt you. Only your illusion about that person can hurt you. What that person does is reality. What you think they ought to do is your concept of reality. So we always get pissed off at somebody who does something. You shouldn't have done that. I thought you wouldn't do that. I'm the one that's a boy, so I need my value system cleared up. I'm bad at judging human beings. So in the future, people will meet with other humans and not judge them. They'll say, well, I like their verbal behavior, but I don't know what they're like on an overt level, what they really behave like. And as they watch them, they say, I like them in music, art, tennis, but as far as philosophy goes, I don't agree with his philosophy. See? And so you learn how to select areas of human relating. That's why we have so much trouble. We have trouble because we save up all our lives to pay for a house. Then a great flood comes. And not only does your house get wet, it's moved off the property into the Ohio River. Because I was paying for 20 years. It doesn't say on the Ohio River will not flood. And so the real world is when you come home one day and there's ashes, you light a cigar. I got to start over again. That's a well-adjusted person. That open mouth means they can't handle the situation. Whenever you see a human open their mouth, it means what they're hearing is overwhelming. And so When you're very young, the mouth is open quite a bit. You see a plane take off, guy went to the moon. But in the future, you'll really see a mouth open, no matter what happens. And that's why a lot of people that don't understand the world today get caught up in magic. They go to some country and they're all looking for magic. They're looking for flying saucers that come to the earth, and somebody step out and say, let me show you how to handle this. As though they give a shit. If they looked at our cities from the air, they'd leave. They wouldn't land. They're not going to... You know, a fantastic thing about many flying saucers, some of them travel hundreds of thousands of light years to chase a motorcycle top in Texas. Is this the purpose of the mission? Or to stop and ask some farmer to come in and say, give him a blood test? If you can conquer space and time, you don't have to look at the eyeballs of the farmer. You know what I mean? So the kind of things that the flying saucerians do, when people call them saucerians, they're so ridiculous, they're more man-like than men, and they're dumber than men. Because they ask questions that are dumber than questions that would be asked by men, you see? So the flying saucers are the kind of stories that you hear about them. The glowing light, and here's a guy flying a little airplane. There's the flying saucer was buzzing me all along, you know. This is, you know, when you go generations through time and space to buzz a little tailored cub, you know, this is not much of a mission. And this girl immediately, a photograph of a 40-year-old woman holding hands with an 8-year-old child. Everyone's amazed. They look at that photograph. And then you open your wallet, open your Social Security card. And now tell what this is. It's a Social Security card made of brass, and it's chipped at the end. And now tell what this means, a Social Security card made of brass, chipped at the end. What does this young lady point to me as a photograph of a 45-year-old woman holding hands with an 8-year-old girl? Okay? So they also develop attitude. The leg in this way is Abraham Lincoln. The head up is Thomas Jefferson. So you can pick a person who's back in the room, and they look at the con guy standing there, and they know who it is. Except that a lot of people don't know how that's done. They're looking for transmitters and communicating devices. But there are thousands of ways to communicate with people, other than yakety-yak. There was my brother once worked for an auctioneer, and he found a certain thing very interesting. When they held up an object of value that they felt was worth $500, and he bid $40, he bid $45, and if you sold to the man in the green hat, means wrap it up, we're not selling it. And they develop a language too. They don't want to sell stuff that much below cost. So everybody has an esoteric language they develop. They look at each other, smile, you know, and that means yes or no. And so telepathy, we believe in that because of experiences we have had. Some of us have had. And some of us believe in it because if you take 20 children and put them in a room, separate partitions around the children, and give them a pencil and paper, you'll find that a lot of children draw boats like that with a flag on it. Hell of a lot of them. And a lot of them will draw something like this. And they always draw the same 17 things, children. They don't draw, rarely does a child draw a 3/4 underside view of a brontosaurus. You know, the child doesn't draw a cutaway view of a television set. A child doesn't draw a sectional view of an aircraft wing with structure and all the elements, the fuel lines and the lightning holes. No, they always draw a house with a goddamn moon up here, or a sun with rays sticking out. Go to school all over the same fucking thing. So they give people pencil and paper, the guy walks out of the room with his eye sense and drawing of, you ever see children's drawings? They're all alike. Same shit. They all over. And so they do the same thing, not by telepathy, by ignorance. Think about that. In other words, if a guy cut in front of you, and instead of saying, you goddamn son of a bitch, you say, is there anything else I can do to assist you? You're going, oh, yeah. Perhaps you come in my car, I'll take you where you want to. Very few people behave like that. You goddamn son of a bitch. Guy turns on television and says, those boys kicks it, breaks the knob, you know. They argue with their television sets. They try to get the car started, they kick it, you know, it won't start. They throw the key on the floor, they have to pick it up. You know? And so, they're all insane, this whole fucking world. When you walk outside this door, all the values are so mixed up. I know the most liberated people out there.